Hello and welcome back everyone to the next episode on Fiori Security, come Fiori Launchpad, come Fiori Installation, come Fiori on Cloud Training with me Anubhav. In our last couple of episodes, we talked about the basics of what exactly Fiori is, what is the benefit of using Fiori, how the evolution of SAP UI technology happened, what is the difference between on-premise versus cloud system, the three cloud offerings, so-called infrastructure, platform, and application as a service. We also discussed about S4HANA, basics of SAP S4HANA, and we have discussed that eventually every company will be on SAP S4HANA. We talked about basic of what is Fiori App Reference Library. Fiori App Reference Library is a place where you can go and find all the Fiori and non-Fiori application which will exist in your company system. Then we talked about custom Fiori apps. They live together hand to hand with standard Fiori apps. There are two ways to develop and deploy them. One is in your existing S4HANA system. Another is directly into the BTP. Then we talked about the server access details. And also in the last session, we talked about the Cloud Foundry basics and DevOps process, Fiori design and development process in general, how exactly it's being done. End-to-end flow, we saw that how a Fiori app is realized from the design till the final maintenance phase. We saw the development tool setup and also the process of developing Fiori app, including services. Then we saw the skeleton of a Fiori application from our foundation training on UI5, how Fiori apps are structured. As for a security consultant, it is quite important to know this structure because there are many times you as a security consultant is asked to find out the relevant service name or the relevant details about a Fiori app. Now, first in today's session, we're going to discuss about system architecture. Then we'll talk about some of the best practices for building Fiori apps. And then I will show you the installation process in the system, how typically Fiori is installed in as a new system or as an existing system. So let's get started first with the guideline and some of the troubleshooting. So those who are joining this class for the first time, don't worry, don't panic. You didn't miss much. You just missed 4 hours of content. Weekend is around the corner. So you can watch the classes, the missed classes over the weekend and join us live from Monday as a fresh. So don't worry if you missed those 4 classes, you will get the video recording of those classes. Okay, so now let's talk about troubleshooting and best practices for Fiori app. So first of all, let's talk about troubleshooting. As a developer or as a Fiori security consultant, you must know couple of troubleshooting tools. So Fiori troubleshooting. The very first tool which comes in Fiori troubleshooting whenever the app is not working or you want to detect certain things about the app, whether it is related to performance or the functionality, the first and the foremost tool comes into picture is the browser developer tool. It's called F12. This is what we use exactly. We switch over to any Fiori application. Let me open SAP UI5 SDK where we can see some demo Fiori app. Today, maybe if you don't have a system, you can go and check here. So many demo Fiori applications provided by SAP. I can switch over to one of the demo application called Master Detail. You will see soon this application will launch with the demo data. This is all demo app. This is how Fiori app looks like. Now, if I want to know what is the OData service it is calling, I don't need to go and ask anybody. I can press F12 on my browser. I can go to network tab and here I can see all the calls which my Fiori app is making to the backend, to the SAP backend server. So if you click or if you scroll down, it loads new data and you will always see the calls in the network tab actually. So let me just quickly refresh and you see these network calls here which it is loading the data, and if you just grow up little bit, you will see somewhere a call is going to backend server. Actually this particular Fiori app is using a mock server. Yeah, That is why it's not showing you a network call. Let me open another Fiori application perhaps, which perhaps is not using any mock server, using a real system. That time will be more clear for us to understand. So let me open this one. So what is mock server? Mock server is also an advanced Fiori topic, which is part of your development process. In this training, I'll explain you mock server when we'll go to advanced development techniques. SAP Fiori UI5 SDK for installation. What is its significance? Give me some time. Okay, now come back, and if we come down and see here the calls, which it is again, it's using mock server. I think all of these apps are using mock server. Perhaps let me open a Fiori application which we built during our last training. So I'll go to our Fiori Launchpad and I'll just open this place. So we'll talk about Launchpad more in detail later point of time, but I'll just show you a demo app which I built in the last training to just so randomly. Usually you'll see a Launchpad like this where you see all the Fiori apps which are there for the business user. And here, when you, let's say somebody asks you this Fiori app is not working or there's some problem, or somebody asks you to determine what is the OData service this Fiori app using, right? So you see only the app, but you don't know what OData service it's using. So you can press F12, you can just come down, remember network tab, click on the app, let the app load, and now you have to search for a dollar batch call. Yeah, just search for dollar batch call. There you go. You click on this and you can now see the service name here. This is the OData service it is using to contact to backend system to read data. So as a business consultant or as a Fiori security consultant or as a launchpad consultant, it is extremely important for you to detect the OData services, because many times these OData services will fail and then your app will not load. So this is your first and foremost troubleshooting tool. We call it as browser developer toolbar or browser development tools. It will open by pressing F12. You press F12, it will open, and then you click any call, you make any call, it will show you all the calls which is going to the backend system from this Fiori app. Fiori apps are running on browser. You can always check these calls. You can also check here the response of this call. Status code was 202 green, which means it was okay response. So this is how you can detect the OData services. Sometimes there is a Fiori app, the backend OData service is not active, or there's a dump in the backend system. So that time you'll only get to know it through this tool. Okay, and then you have to investigate the backend. We'll also do more troubleshooting in detail later on, but this is the first tool you all need to understand as a Fiori security consultant or somebody who's just starting with Fiori. So browser developer tool, check network call for dollar batch and find the service name used. Then the next troubleshooting tool which comes into picture again in F12, you can see console. So usually sometime, let's say Fiori app is starting, but when you navigate to a particular screen, it is dumping, it is not loading anything. So that time here in the console, you will get to know the error. Yes, usually this kind of error will come with a timestamp. You see the timestamp of this error, when this error came. So this way you can contact the development team to tell them there's something wrong in the console. It's not your maybe security issue, it may be the app issue itself. So this is another reason, or this is another problem which you can troubleshoot using console. You can also click here the line number. It will take you to precisely the line number where the error is coming from in the code, and they will investigate it further. But at least initial troubleshooting you can do it with this tool itself. Then the third type of troubleshooting which you can do here is sometime a app works good in desktop but not in mobile. So you wanted to check if the app is going to work good in mobile or not. So you can click here this button called toggle device toolbar, and it will turn now your desktop into a mobile device. And this way you can see how this app is going to look like in mobile, or maybe in the tablet. Maybe you can search iPhone X or iPhone iPad, it's going to look like an iPad like this. So that way you can do a quick testing, quick troubleshooting of your app if the app is looking nice in the mobile. So all of these are part of F12. So next one was check the console for errors. Next one was what we had was device preview in the F12 itself. Next tool. So if I just switch off device preview, come out, I press Control Alt Shift P. If you do this command, it will load the version on which this UI5 app is built. You can see SAP UI5 version. It is built on 1.78.9. So this is the version actually right now this app is running. Remember, I told you in last class, sometime an app works on development quality, but it doesn't work on production. So the best thing or best way you can check is just use this Control Alt Shift P tool to see what is the version of the quality development production system of UI5 you are having. Yeah, this is another very important troubleshooting which you can do to find out. So the tool is Control. It works only for Fiori apps. Alt Shift P to check version of the UI5 library on which this Fiori app is running. Then you can also start SAP UI5 support assistance. Click on that, and now you can see recommended location. So you can actually see different options for loading the UI5 SDK. So you can say I wanted to load it from SAP UI5 nightly build. Nightly build means every night they will release a new patch, new fix of UI5. So now you can say okay, and then just close. So now this application will use the latest UI5 version from the nightly build. This is how you can quickly check if my app is going to use the latest version or not. Yes, so you can see UI5 nightly build. If I click on that, it launches the support assistance now. And here you can actually check the different control hierarchy. Control hierarchy means how your UI controls are structured. What are all the different UI controls is this Fiori app is using. So sometimes this tool is also very helpful for you to analyze. So you see it will show you all the list of libraries here. Then you see all the list of controls which it is loading, complete set of libraries and the controls. What are the different controls of this library is using? It will show you here the available rule sets. You can do a analysis of this Fiori app against these rules and see. So these are basically best practices. 88 rules are there. These are best practices. If you analyze, it will tell you according to this rule set how much percentage of your Fiori app qualifies these rules, because are there any violations of best practices which a developer have done while building this app. So you can see now it has found out these categories. So there is one high priority error. Okay, so this is very technical information, and you can see asynchronous XML view. So there is this particular control ID which is having some issue, which needs to be again investigated by developers. So this is basically violation of best practice guidelines given by SAP. If anyone is violating the guideline, you can always check these rules using SAP UI5 support assistant tool. So this is opened using the same option, Control Alt Shift P. When you do, you will see Control Alt Shift P. Then you will see here support assistance. Yeah, so this way you can find out all the checks. You can do checks on your app if it is meeting the guidelines or not. If it is not, you can go back and tell developer perhaps to meet the SAP guideline. So that next tool was SAP UI5 support assistance. This is basic development guideline I'm talking about. These troubleshooting are related to development, which everyone should know, whether you are a developer or a security consultant. Now, next comes is how do we know if a app is a Fiori app or if a app is not a Fiori app? So we saw some apps were there which were web GUI apps, right? In Fiori app reference library. So how do you know if it is a app which is a Fiori app or not? The best and simplest and layman way to do this is press F1. If you press F1 in a Fiori app, it will load the browser Google's help. But if you press F1 on a web GUI app, yeah, which is built using classical GUI technology, it will open a dialog box actually for you. So that is what you can do. Slowly over a period of time, once you experience a lot of apps, you will easily detect them. But the best way is to press F1 and then find out. So in F1, when I do, it opens the browser's help. Okay. But if I open a web GUI app, there if I do an F1, it will open a SAP UI5 help box. I'll show you that in a second. So let me go back again to my system and let me open a Fiori app, which is VA01. This is a classical GUI based application. You see SAP GUI for HTML in the title. So this is now opening a web GUI application. If I do an F1 here, see it opened this. It does not open the browser help. It opened a detail about this field like it does in the GUI. So it's actually GUI. You can also check the DOM. DOM means you press F12, go to elements, and here you can check the DOM. Just highlight the content, the field, and now you can see here this content, and you will find here something related to GUI. You see web GUI hub. Yeah, a lot of web GUI you'll find. Yes. So you see web GUI page. So it's a web GUI. It's a HTML GUI. Same for WebDin Pro and BSP. You will detect those elements. It will be very apparent for you over a time. Once you experience a couple of apps, you will see them. They will look like a web GUI app. So this is a classical web GUI app. You saw in the last class, 80% of S4HANA apps are still web GUI, WebDin Pro and BSP, which are visually harmonized and sold to customers as S4HANA packet, but 20% are really Fiori apps even in S4HANA as of today. Okay. Now, so that was the second thing. Now, sometimes when you want to troubleshoot, you want to see the code of a Fiori app. Let's say if I open this app and as a developer, you wanted to see the code of a Fiori app. Let's say this is an app. If I press F12, if I go to sources, I may not see the complete code of this Fiori app. So if I go inside and if I just wanted to check, I will not see the complete code of this Fiori app. I'll just see, few files, only few files of this particular application. So in order to see the complete code, download complete code, you have to again do Control Shift Alt Shift P and just say specific module, click on that, and then you check which module you want to debug. So which part of the app you want to debug. So my project name was project 1. It has component.js file. I just select it and I'll say apply, and it will now download all those files in my browser from the server so that I can do debugging directly, my JS debugging on the front end. So this is what you will now do. So if you go back and check, you will perhaps see the source will get downloaded. You see now my project have come and I've got my component preload.js file. So this is how you can download the complete source code of the application, even the standard application when you're debugging them. So very important feature which we get here when it comes to work with the Fiori applications. These are some of the basic troubleshooting tools. Maybe as a consultant, the most important one is this one. As a non-technical person, if you are a developer, then maybe you get into more tools. But as of now, these are the bare minimum tools everybody should know who work on Fiori. Moving next, coming to the best practices. What are all the best practices to implement Fiori app development? So I will not recommend any Chrome extension at the moment because that will become too dicey and technical for security consultant. Okay, what are all the best practices when it comes to implementing the Fiori apps? So Fiori apps must be implemented using UI5. So guys, there are a lot of open frameworks in the market, like you might have heard about React.js, Android, Vue.js, right? You should not use the mix of technologies. You should use SAP UI5 to implement Fiori apps. This is the first guideline from SAP for best practice. Second is one Fiori app should have only one OData service. Though it is possible to plug multiple OData service with one Fiori app, you should not do that. One Fiori app should have one OData service. Even you see standard SAP Fiori app, they will always have one OData service pointing to them. Okay. It is possible that multiple Fiori app point to same OData service. That is possible. But eventually one Fiori app should talk to only one service, not multiple service. This is another best practice. Fiori apps must follow Fiori design guidelines, which we saw on that day. Fiori apps should not be accessible directly. Directly means some people deploy index HTML to server and then anybody can go and open their app and bypass security. All Fiori apps should only be accessible through Launchpad. We need to definitely take care of Launchpad only. All Fiori apps must be accessible through the Launchpad and Launchpad only. So that is what we need to take care when it comes to working with Fiori application. So these are all some of the guidelines we need to keep it in mind whenever it comes to building the Fiori apps. Your development team has to take care of it. Next guideline is we should never ever have a custom css. Okay, we should never use custom css. Is a guideline. In worst cases or some cases you may have to go and do custom css, but ideally we should not. So we should not use custom css, but it is okay to use custom css, but it's a guideline that we should not use custom css in SAP Fiori application. Then Fiori applications with the OData service must be defined in different software component. So basically your Fiori app and OData, they both should belong to different software component. Now, what is this software component, guys? What exactly it means? So software component means the component through which your Fiori app or the OData service is delivered. So they both should belongs to different, which means they both should be part of different packages actually. You should not merge your package of both Fiori app and OData. You should decouple them so that it can be plugged and played. Today you are using an OData, tomorrow you can use a different OData with the same Fiori app. So it should be decoupled in an easy way. So let me show you typically how the structure of SAP development happens. So in whenever you develop any application or software in SAP world, you will typically have a development artifact. Development artifact is like your program, is a include program, function module, Fiori app, OData service. All these are development objects. So all our different development objects. So these are all the dev objects. They are part of a package. So usually we group them in a package. Yes, a package belongs to a application component. Application component will give grouping to packages. So in your company you may be having different teams developing, so each team will have several packages. So application component gives the grouping to the package. So let's say finance is one area, so all the finance development will happen in finance packages. All the HR, all the all the production maintenance, plant maintenance, warehouse management, materials management, so, sales and distribution. You have different application components. Through these application components, you will group. Let's say finance will include apps related to payroll, general ledger, ledger entries, credit notes, debit notes, bank guarantees. All that comes under finance. HR will have different modules, different packages related to let's say pay stub, HR policies, benefits. Then you have leaves, leave request, timesheet approval, timesheet creation. All that comes under HR. So you will have different grouping of these application level through the application component. That's why in SAP system, whenever you create packages, you always give application component. Yes. Now, sometime application component is home. Home means these application component objects will never leave your development system. They will always reside in your development system, home development. They will never go to your customers. Then comes is like this. If you have several application components together, you will eventually have a software component. Software component is what you install in the customer system. Suppose your customer buy a software from you like ERP, SAP ERP. So SAP ERP has now different software component related to SAP HR. So that is one software component. Yes, SAP HR. Now SAP HR may have different application component like HR dash time management. Yes, HR dash leave management, HR dash policy management. Similarly, let's say you have a software component called SAP um, FS, financial services. So SAP FS will then further have SAP financial services insurance, SAP Financial Services Banking, right? So when you go to SAP, SAP will sell you a solution with software component. They will charge you for software component. You can't just go and say, I want just this. Yes, so they will charge you for software component, and then corresponding application component will install in your system. For those application component, all the packages will install. All the packages will eventually have all your code. So that is the typical structure. I hope everybody is clear what is software component, what is application component, what is package, and what is dev object. So Fiori app is a dev object. OData service is a dev object that lives in a package, and then it have application component and then software component. So this is how we have a structure of our SAP applications, typically broad level. That is our different components in every SAP system. Because it's very important, as a basis consultant, security consultant, you need to overall understand the structure. So with that, let's move now to understand system architecture. This is must know for everybody, those who work on Fiori system architecture. Fiori system architecture, this is also known as system architecture, Fiori system architecture, Fiori deployment option. All these are same thing, okay? Fiori system architecture, S4HANA system architecture, Fiori deployment option, all of them are same. Okay, now there are two ways a company can implement Fiori. Let me tell you an example. So first, what happened is, we have this presentation, we have this application, or maybe let's take an example. Let's go to 2012. A company was using SAP ERP, and they have this so-called three-tier architecture. So this company is already using SAP ERP, where they are using SAP ERP, and this is your application layer in three-tier architecture. This is your presentation layer. This is your database layer. Now, SAP in 2012 come up with Fiori. They said, okay, we have now a completely new technology, UI technology, which will allow you to run your applications on mobile. That is what SAP come up with. Okay, so now SAP came up with a new technology. So let me just say SAP come up with a new technology, and this is called Fiori. So SAP came up with this. Now a customer already using this, they are using SAP GUI, and SAP said, okay, we have got a new technology, would you like to use it? Now, but to use this technology, the system should support also this technology. If I put this technology as it is, it will not work. The system has to have something to support it. Yeah, like C program, I can't run it in a notepad file. I need C compiler, which computes, which understand the C program. So to run and understand Fiori, there is a component which is called required is SAP UI component. This component must exist. Only then your Fiori can run on top. This component is required in your SAP server. If I don't have this component in SAP server, it will not support Fiori apps. So SAP said, okay, I've got a Fiori UI technology, and it is powered and supported by this component called Fiori UI. Would you like to use it? Yeah, but there is a condition. There's a condition. The condition is, you need to upgrade this system. You need to upgrade your system to the next version. Now guys, upgrade of a SAP system is not equal to upgrade of your mobile phone. Okay, so many time you get notification in your smartphone, upgrade this Subway Surfer, upgrade this particular game, upgrade this new version to Uber, upgrade to Amazon. Yeah, sometimes they upgrade automatically, new release. Yeah, SAP system is a mammoth. It's a big elephant. This cannot be upgraded just like your mobile app. Mobile app is very small file. It's a small chunk. but you can't upgrade such a SAP system overnight or over one day. It's a full planned process. Yeah, upgrade sometimes takes months, sometimes takes weeks. It is a cost of people, cost of time, cost of money, and sometimes upgrade fail, you have to roll back, you have to have a fallback condition. It's an expensive thing. Yeah, not every company can plan upgrade, because it also requires certain amount of downtime means your system will be down for some time, like let's say 4 hour, 6 hour, 8 hour, one day, 2 day, weekend. Yeah, so it requires some cost. Not every company can upgrade so swiftly their SAP system, and even after upgrade you have to do a lot of testing, because you cannot say I have upgraded to new version and now everything is fine. You have to do testing. Testing is a cost. You have to again test. You have to run test. You have to check everything is working after upgrade. System is not showing any performance issue, any accessibility issue, any dumps are not coming. All the services are activated fine. Every all the jobs are running fine in the system. All that you need to check when an upgrade happens. It's a big activity. Now SAP said, okay, you need to upgrade if you want to use Fiori. Many customer will refuse. They will say we will not upgrade because we don't have money, time, and resource to upgrade. But yet we want to use Fiori. Okay, yet we want to use Fiori. Okay, we are ready to use, but we are not ready to upgrade. So then SAP proposed them, okay, in that case, what you do is you don't upgrade. Don't upgrade. Okay, let me cut. I'll say don't upgrade, no problem. But in that case, if you are pay little bit extra, what I can do is I can add another system here. Yes, I plug another system, and in this system, this is a fresh system. I'll put these two gentlemen's. Okay, so SAP says, okay, understood, no problem, don't upgrade. But what I will do is you do one thing, you just add this. I copy and just cut it and I put it, paste it, and let me put it here. So now SAP says, okay, you pay me little bit extra, but if you want to, I know you're interested to use Fiori, you do this, you plug a new system with the extra little bit extra cost, but that will not require any upgrade of your backend system. So that is what we do, and then we connect these two systems together. So Fiori apps runs on this separate system, and your existing code, all the existing functionality and data, everything is here on this existing system. Everybody, are you clear till here? Please answer in chat window. Do you understand this part? What is this? What is happening here? Yes, everyone clear? So now what happened is we have got a new system parallel to existing system. Now what are all the advantage of this approach and what are all the disadvantage of this approach? So first let's talk about advantage. First advantage is we are able to use Fiori. So we are able to adapt innovation. Yes, that is what we are able to do. The second, this is exactly parallel system. This is same thing is called parallel system also. Okay, we are able to adapt Fiori. We are able to use innovation. That's the first advantage you get. Second advantage, we are able to connect now multiple such backend. Yeah, so guys, this is called backend. What is it called? It's called backend. Backend means it is sitting behind the Fiori. This is where you have all your data. This is where you have all your existing code which your company is invested. Okay, this is where you have all your functionality. This is your backend. So you are able to now can connect multiple backends. Suppose you have a ERP ECC system similar to this in your company. You have, let's say, a SAP CRM system. SAP CRM also there is in your company. Yes, now similar to that in your company, let's say you have a SAP SRM. Yeah, your company has SAP SRM. You will be able to connect all these systems with a single system where you have the Fiori. It is possible. Okay, now one question to all of you: how two SAP system can have a secure relationship? Anybody? What is that concept in SAP called? Very good answer. It's called RFC. RFC is the concept through which two SAP system can communicate with each other securely. Okay, it's called RFC concept. What is the transaction code to create RFC? Anyone? SM59. SM means system maintenance. Okay, this is how we can create a secure connection between two SAP system. Right? You guys are smart. You're all basis. Okay, so SM59 is the T code through which you can create connection between two SAP systems. So the same system can now cater multiple backend system if your company has. So multiple such backend is also supported. You are able to adapt the innovation of Fiori. The third is the separation of duties. Separation of duties means you can actually do anything to this. Yes, you are not tightly coupled, you're loosely coupled. So let's say some of your company users, 50 you have 100 user, 50 of them want to use Fiori. You will make them use this system. But remaining 50, they want to continue using classical functionality. Let them use this. You have separation of duties. You have very clear responsibilities. Plus, you have more better security. Why? Because you will have a secure communication between systems, and you can now have a separate security for here and separate security for here. It is possible to have security. You can see this is an advantage also, disadvantage also, because what if I don't want it to double my security, then maybe this is a disadvantage also. Sometimes it is considered disadvantage. Next, you are upgrade free. You don't have to do upgrade. Yes, you were not upgrading anything. You were able to install, set up Fiori and run it all together. This, by the way, this system is called Fiori front end system, my friends. इसका भी नाम है, इसको क्या कहते हैं? What is this called? Fiori front end system. Fiori front end system. And then this is called Fiori backend system. Your existing systems are called Fiori backend system. So on this diagram, how many Fiori backend systems do you see? Anyone? How many Fiori backend systems do you see? Three Fiori, very good. And how many Fiori front end systems you see in this diagram? One, very good. This one. So let me change the color. So let me make it sky blue. So now this is also known as FES. Front end server, FES, front end server. And this is called BES, back end server, BES. Sometimes these names are used as it is. People give the system name also BES and FES. Okay, FES is a front end system. So now you can upgrade your front end system anytime. You can make your backend system as it is. You can upgrade this one anytime. Yeah, so that is another advantage. So these are all the advantages of this scenario, this deployment option. Yes, the second part comes is disadvantage. Okay, by the way, this whole deployment option, this whole thing is called central hub scenario. This is called Fiori central hub deployment. Why it's called central hub? Because you see, this system is sitting in the center. Yeah, and it is then sending traffic to other systems. So this is the hub. It's acting like a switch. It's a switch which can switch to any system. So this is why it's called central hub scenario. Okay, this front end system is also called gateway system. All right, this is called gateway system also. So these are just different names given by different companies and people in SAP itself. So don't confuse. A front end system is called FES or gateway system. A backend system is called ECC, classical ECC or backend system, BES or Fiori backend system. Yes, that's what it is called. And this whole scenario, whole deployment is called Fiori central hub deployment scenario. Advantage is you can adopt innovation without disruption. That's an advantage. This is what happened when Fiori came newly. Okay, but later on slowly company realized disadvantage of this approach. Even SAP realized a lot of disadvantage. Of course, this is a disadvantage. I'll tell you what are all. First disadvantage is cost. Cost is very high. आपका डबल पैसा लग रहा है. कई को इधर भी लग रहा है, you have a cost here and you have a cost here. You are already paying for this system. Now you need a separate hardware, separate server, separate computer, separate machine, separate people to manage this system separately, separate upgrade, separate life cycle. सब कुछ separate है इसका. Yes, you have high cost. बहुत पैसा लगता है. It's very expensive. That's why, it's a very big disadvantage. The second disadvantage, which nobody will tell you, but I'll tell you, confusion. Whenever a company implement Fiori and if they use central hub approach, I have seen so many people, they remain all the time confused. They will keep asking, where do I activate my OData? Where do I keep my Fiori app? Where do I keep my standard app? Where do I activate my standard app? Where do I extend the Fiori app? Which system do we connect to? Which system do we log in? How the user security will happen? How you enforce the security? How the RFC is having a problem? What is that where we create RFC system? Where do we connect our development tool to? How do we give cloud connector access? Which system should be connected to cloud connector? All these confusions will come because of the central hub. It's very confusing. Yeah, people without proper training, they will not be able to understand. They will always remain confused. This is the second biggest disadvantage of this approach. Third disadvantage, you, as I mentioned, security. You need to manage security double. Yes, your functionality is distributed. आप ना घर के रहे ना घाट के, आधे आप इधर हो आधे आप उधर हो. Half is Fiori application functionality, half functionality is in the backend. Yes, so people will also get confused because of this. What to use? Shall we use Fiori or shall we not use Fiori? So there will be a lot of confusion in your business users also. Because of this, they will say, where is my right functionality? Which is the correct functionality shall I use? Third, next advantage is basically duplicacy, redundancy. So when you build OData services, actually, it will replicate the metadata both in front-end system and back-end system. So you will have a lot of redundancy, redundant roles, redundant security artifacts at times, redundant things. Things are duplicated across two systems. Sometimes you will also have latency. Why latency? Because eventually there are two computers, two servers connected through RFC. Yes. So whenever you're making a call to Fiori app, the Fiori app eventually will get data from the backend because data is with the backend through the OData. So there is lot of network latency, lot of network call, this RFC, lot of network call between two system. It will cause some time latency. It will take more time. The performance will little come down. Yes. So it's costly, confusing. Security needs to be doubled. Functionality is distributed, redundancy and latency. These are some big disadvantage. Why it happened? Because just because you say no to upgrade. Yeah, just because your company said no to upgrade, it happened. Yeah, this is what was happened. So this is called Fiori central hub deployment scenario, where you have both front end and back end systems separate. But eventually what happened over a period of time after 2012, now it's already about 9 years, many company naturally upgrade because at after certain time when SAP end maintenance of a certain product, they eventually has to upgrade their system. There is no choice, they have to upgrade. So eventually companies have upgraded their system. When they upgraded their system starting NetWeaver 7.5, sorry 7.4, this UI component which was a prerequisite have actually come inside the system itself. So this UI component which I'm talking, which is prerequisite for Fiori, became part of your natural, every system has it now by default. Starting SAP NetWeaver 7.4, every system has got this component. You don't need just this component, you also need another component called SAP GWFND. That is another component. So two components you need, two software components you need, SAP underscore UI and SAP GWFND, Gateway Foundation. These are all the two software components which your company need. Yes, by default, these two components now are delivered from NetWeaver 7.4. So the game have changed. You don't have to upgrade now because these components to run Fiori, to run OData service are part of your system itself. Now you don't have to worry. So you can actually use one system for both Fiori and for backend. Still, some companies with lack of knowledge, or maybe with SAP recommend them forcefully, or due to some due to some reasons, maybe because they see more advantage, they want to keep their system separate, or they have multiple backend and they wanted to have a central front end. So due to some reasons, still some companies will go with this deployment, but this is not a recommended deployment anymore. SAP is recommending a embedded deployment. So what is the option 2? So this is, guys, option 1. Option 1 for Fiori deployment. Now what is option 2? Let's look at the same picture, copy that, go to next slide, paste it, and now watch out. So next option is called embedded deployment. What is it called? Embedded deployment scenario. Now what are all the advantage and disadvantage of embedded deployment? In the embedded deployment, the advantage is low cost. आपका cost कम हो गया, because now you don't need this. Suppose in my company I don't have multiple system, I just have one S4 HANA system, which is what also true going forward with S4 HANA. You don't need separate systems. Yes, so you can now have both the system. इनको merge कर दो आप, आपको RFC नहीं चाहिए अभी ये same हो गया, इसी में आ गया ये. This has become one system because same system has got all the components inside. This is one system itself. Color भी same कर देते हैं. Let's change the color also. Yeah, so let's change the color. Yeah, so this become eventually the same system because आपका upgrade लग गया already. There's no backend, no front end. This is only one system where you have got all the features, everything at one place. आपका cost कम हो गया. Just need one system because you need to manage only one system. You need to manage security also in one system. Confusion is gone. Now nobody come will ask you what to do, where to do, right? Where, what to do in front end, what to do in back end. Nobody will ask you this. Yes, only one system, you do it. No need to create RFC. You still need RFC, guys, but it will be local. Local means self connection. खुद का खुद के साथ ही connection. All right. You still need RFC, but it's a self connection. You don't need RFC to be connected to a different system. We still need it, but it will be more of a local connection. It is, the setup is easy. Setup is much easier. The security is at one place. You don't need to create double users. In the past scenario, if there is a user, if you create a user, you need to create the same user in both the systems. You have to create a user here for a person. Let's say if a person is there, his name is Jack. The Jack must exist in both systems. You have to double the user actually. Yes, because when a Jack connects to front end, automatically this RFC should use Jack user to connect to backend. So the Jack must exist in backend also, in front end also. You have to duplicate the user and security. So that is, now it's also easy. The security is much easier in a embedded deployment. Yeah, the next advantage which you get is low latency. अभी आपको दो सिस्टम के बीच में कम्युनिकेशन नहीं करना. It's a system to system by itself, so you have low latency. Latency is very low. Yeah, this is the main advantage. You can still connect with another system like CRM, SRM. Yes, because eventually it's a SAP system. It also has RFC feature, so there is no problem. You can still use this system as a hub in future if you want. But why do you use it if you have everything at one place? Yeah, so all these are the advantages. Disadvantage is nothing actually. The only thing is we must be on the latest NetWeaver 7.4. That's the only thing, that's the only condition. No disadvantage with this actually. Only one disadvantage which I see, let's say for some reason, if the system is down, both Fiori and apps classical functionality will not work, right? किसी ने इस पे अटैक कर दिया, if somebody attack on this, everything is gone, nothing will work, right? In the past scenario, you had a choice. If this is down, you still can connect to other system and some part of Fiori apps will work, right? But in this, if somebody attack on it, you're gone. Yeah, everything is gone. Usually you still have a lot of security. You will not just expose everything on the internet. I'll tell you that. That's cloud connector topic. We'll cover that later. But what I'm trying to say is, if there's something wrong, if the system is slow, if something is bad, dumps are coming, there's something bad happened in the system, the whole thing is down. If you're upgrading, you have to make the full system down. However, here you don't have to make full, they are decoupled. You are upgrading CRM, your ERP and your SRM will work fine. But if you're upgrading this system, the whole system will be down for the upgrade. Yeah, that's a disadvantage. But now we have new features like ZDO. A lot of concepts are coming in SAP like ZDO, zero downtime. So a lot of those things are there, which will not make your system down for a long time. So considering those concepts in place, this disadvantage is almost negligible. Almost negligible. You can still live with this. Now, what is recommended, guys? If a interview or ask you, or if somebody asks you for S4 HANA, which is the recommended deployment option, what will be your response? If somebody asks you what is Fiori Central Hub or embedded, what is the recommended deployment? Very good, Amruta Raste. Exactly, embedded is deployment because you clearly see the advantages. Now, that is Anubhav told you, but where is the evidence that this is recommended? You also sometimes need to share evidence, right? With somebody, when somebody asks you, you need to share some document. They will not believe you, they will not agree with you. They will say, okay, can you show me something which SAP recommend? So guys, I've got you a nice document here from SAP directly. SAP Fiori deployment options and system landscape. This is given by SAP. It's available on sap.com. सो अगर sap.com से आ रहा है तो कोई झूठ नहीं बोल रहा है, right? Everybody is right. I mean, you, this is a trusted source. And you see, this document is also given by SAP only. The version of this document is April 2021 latest version. So you don't have also a problem that you're referring something old, something deprecated. Yes, if you come down, it clearly says what is the recommended deployment option. See, SAP Fiori frontend, 1 second, let me see recommendation. See, now here you read. So the recommended system landscape setup. Okay, let me just see. So this document will explain you that. So in summary, the recommendation for SAP Fiori development is following: SAP Business Suite. See, SAP S4 HANA, the embedded SAP FES deployment is recommended. Everybody, are you clear with this line? S4 HANA, what is recommended? Embedded. Embedded मतलब आपका जो front end है वो back end के अंदर एक साथ ही हो. This is what is recommended for S4 HANA. Eventually, as I told you, everybody is on S4 HANA by 2029. So if your company have S4 HANA, what is recommended deployment option? If somebody asks you, yes, only one system, embedded one, where your FES and BES both are one single system. But if it is business suite, ECC, classical, then the recommended is central hub. Central hub is still recommended deployment option for the business suite, the classical SAP ECC. This is the recommended. So this document link I'm putting in the slide. This slide is shared with you all in the training blog. Yes, you can just check this. You can download this document, read this. It's very powerful, very interesting document. So you see it explains the same. So we have embedded where everything is in one system. But if you see FES, you have in two different systems. Okay, yes. Then BTP we'll discuss later. SAP BTP, we'll discuss this later. Yeah. So S4 HANA recommended deployment option is embedded deployment option. Very important line, guys. You must remember this. This is super important. Okay. Now let us talk about what are all the different. So in this training, I'm going to show you both, because as a trainer, it's my duty to get flavor of both. So we will look at how the configuration happens in embedded, how the configuration happens in backend. So let's talk about broadly what are all there for embedded for the central hub. So what exists where? So कहाँ पे क्या exist करता है? Let's talk about that. when it comes to embedded and this. So now if I talk about this morely, so let's go inside the box and see what are all exist in the system. So backend में क्या होगा, front end में क्या होगा, let's talk about that. If it's a hub scenario, because many times this is very important. So first and foremost thing, if you are using bash or development tool for Fiori development, bash or VS code, which system the bash should connect to? It must connect to the front end system. Yes, this is your Fiori front end system. It's called FES. Your development tool must connect to this system. Yes, if I talk about SAP Fiori backend, this is BES. Bash and BES, two different stuff, guys. So your bash, your development tool should connect to front end system. When your users are using applications, Fiori applications, they are using through browser. So can anybody tell me, if user is using an application through the browser, which system will they connect to? Backend or front end to access Fiori apps? Front end system, exactly. So all the Fiori apps which are either delivered by SAP or deployed by you as custom Fiori apps, they all live in the front end system. Very important line, everybody. All Fiori apps, they all live in the front end system. याद रखना, भूल मत जाना दोस्तों, बहुत important है. All Fiori apps are deployed in front end system. Clear, everybody? Whether it is custom or it is standard, we don't care. All the Fiori apps will live in the front end system. In case of embedded system, where will they live? Front end or back end? In case of embedded one, where do they live? Front end or back end? Embedded one. Both are same. Why you are so confused? दोनों same ही तो है. It's a one
Single
box.
system.
Yes. Why you guys got confused with my interview question? This is the interview question, tricky interview question. People will ask you, in case of embedded system, where does your Fiori app live? If you say front end, they will reject you. If you say back end, they will reject you also. Because in case of embedded deployment, it's one system. It's one system eventually. Why do you have to say front end or back end? It's one system, one box. Yeah, single server. Yeah, so only in case of hub it's little tricky to understand, so that is what we'll cover. Now Fiori apps are accessed via Fiori Launchpad. We will discuss this is a big topic in our training. We will start from perhaps next to next class. So the Fiori Launchpad and the tools related to Fiori, they all exist in the front end system only, all these tools. So that what all the tools, some of the tools are SAP Fiori Launchpad. This is one tool. Transaction code is UI2/FLP. Yes, then we have Fiori Launchpad Designer. We call it as Launchpad Designer, and this the transaction code is /UI2/FLPD conf. This is the Launchpad Designer tool that exists also in the front end system. Then we have Theme Designer /UI2 theme_designer. This is another tool. They all live in the front end system. सारे के सारे ये front end system में होते हैं. Okay. Then other than that, what else you have? So you will have roles. SAP delivered roles. SAP will deliver a lot of roles to you. All the roles delivered by SAP related to Fiori are part of front end system. This is very important because as a Fiori security consultant, you will be working with roles which are also delivered by SAP. So all the roles are also part of front end system. Then O data service activation. Guys, actually we should say content, Fiori content, because Fiori content is a broad term which includes three broad things. What are all those three broad things? Roles, yes, group and catalog. We will talk about it, don't worry. Right now, don't be overwhelmed by these terms, what I've used here. The role, group and catalog. Ghabraiye nahi, we will discuss this more in detail. So all this Fiori content is part of Fiori front-end server if it's a embedded, if it's a central hub deployment. Then all the OData services which you build in your company, all the OData services, OData registration, only registration will be part of the Fiori front-end server. through OData services are accessed. So this is what broadly, there are a lot more, but broadly, these are the components you have. Then you will have, of course, a connection. So for which you will have system alias, plus you will have all the RFCs. All of it will be part of the front end system. Then front end system will connect to back end system through the RFC. We know that, right? We just discussed. दोनों RFC से जुड़े रहते हैं. So we'll have a RFC. This RFC also you have to create here only. You see RFC. So I'll show you all this in the system. We have a server plan for that as well, where I'll show you this. So this is the RFC through which they connect. Okay. What is system alias? Don't worry. I'll also cover that later on once I get into setup. Okay. Now, one question comes is, if I log in with my user Anubhav here, how is this RFC will connect to the backend? Which user it will use to talk through in this RFC? What user do we maintain? Yes, to connect these two systems. If front end I connected using Anubhav user, what will happen? So guys, it will use the same user. So same front end user must exist in backend also. So basically you need to replicate the user both in backend and front end, same user. It will use the same user. It's called current session user. That is the user it will use. I'll show you once I create an RFC. That time I'll show you once we get into setup of this connection. So we'll learn this part also. Then comes is backend. Backend में अब क्या क्या होता है? All your existing GUI apps, whatever G transaction till today, whatever you built, existing Z T code, Z and SAP T code, like VA01, ME21N, all those things are part of your backend system. Then you will have backend content. So there is new stuff called backend catalog and backend content. We'll talk about this in unit number 12. So that time I'll explain you more in detail. So right now just say backend content, which includes backend catalog and all that stuff. So all of that will be part of this. All your data, applications and data will reside, your classical applications, your classical data, your user exits, bodies, BAPIs, forms, everything what you built, all will be inside the backend system, and you will continue to develop on backend system. Since all your functionality, data, everything is in the backend, you will develop OData services in backend system. So OData services are the services which will be feeding data to Fiori apps. Fiori apps only understand OData service. So all the data which you want to expose out of your system will be through OData. So you will develop OData services here. To do that, we use concept of MPC and DPC classes. Yes, that's what we do. So all of it will be part of the backend system. We will have it in the backend system, which will finally connects to the database. So all the database connectivity will be here with the backend system. So this is all broadly what is inside the box. So this picture is very important if you are working in your company in central hub deployment server. To avoid any kind of confusion, I would request to take a printout of this and put it on your desk. Those who are working with a central hub scenario in their company. So next time you will not ask me, once I get into stuff and systems, you should not ask this question, Anubhav, where do we have this, where do we have that? Okay, now coming to software components, what software components do exist in the backend and front end? So in front end, certainly you need software component to support Fiori. So what are all the technical software components which are there? So first is SAP GWFND. This is must be there. This is to support OData service. Then you have SAP underscore UI software component to support Fiori. You will have SAP UIS for OP1. This is a very important software component which is to support Fiori apps related to S4HANA. This is especially for S4HANA. So let me show you this software component in my system. Where can you go and check them? So if you go to SAP server, you can actually check them there. Yeah, let me just show you. So mine is S4HANA guys. So that's why I'll find the last one. This one also I'll find it. To support Fiori apps in S4HANA, that's additional component we need. Okay, so we have to go to system, status, and go to details, and now you see I've got SAP UI and SAP GWFND will be there. Here it is. And then I would need SAP S4 UI OP1. Let me come down and show that. SAP UI OP1. Let me sort it. SAP UI OP1. What was the name? SAP S UIS for OP1 actually. UIS for OP1. Yes, here it is. You see, UI for S4HANA on-prem. So this is the next component you will find in SAP S4HANA system alone. If you're using ECC or classical systems, you'll not find this. This will exist only in SAP S4HANA to support Fiori apps in S4HANA. This is the component you would need. These are all software component. I am sure everybody understood software components. In our previous slide, we discussed about it. Yeah. So that exists in the front end system. In the back end system, the components which are required are called IWBEP component. This is one component, and S4 core. These two components will exist in backend. Now, since here, guys, the system which I'm showing is a embedded deployment. मतलब दोनों एक ही है. So you will see S4 core and IWBEP also here. So if I go, I'll show you first S4 core. See S4 core. This is for S4 HANA, and then IWBEP भी होगा इसके अंदर in the same system. Okay, we will have IWBEP. So this is basically cover classical. This won't exist in S4 HANA. For S4 HANA, you'll see S4 core. But if it is a old system, ERP system, old ERP business suite and all, then you'd see IWBEP. So these are all the main software components you can go and check in your company system. If you have them, you can use your company system to practice this course, this training you can practice in your company system. If you don't have, I told you already the options, the server options. Maybe again you wait for some more days until we get into some more practical. Right now I'm making foundation. So slowly once we get into starting next week, more components inside, then we will be able to understand and grasp more. Actually this IWBP, it got merged into GWFND only. Okay, this was earlier required. Yes, long time back in 2012 when Fiori came newly, SAP was recommending just this one in the backend alone and this one on the front end alone. Okay, but later on this IWP went merged into the this one only, GWFND only. So usually if your company is already upgraded their backend and front end both, and still they have a central hub for some reasons, you will see this one also as GWFND only because it got merged. But bare minimum this one is required, which doesn't require any upgrade of your system. You just put this component, it'll work. It'll start supporting Fiori to do the connection. It'll start supporting Fiori. So for S4 HANA, it will be S4 core, that is bare minimum on the backend server. The recommended deployment option, it's a certification question also. Recommended deployment option for S4 HANA is embedded one, where these two will not be separate, they will be one system. So that was it for today's class. In the next session, we will talk about installation of Fiori apps. Okay. Now, any questions before we close?
Yeah, Nabo, hi. I'm a kind of a developer, so I'm having a couple of questions. Like as you shown, this business suite is recommended on central hub. Why exactly? Because if SAP is promoting embedded, why the business suite has to be on the central hub?
Because maybe your old business suite is not upgraded yet. There's upgrade cost now.
Okay.
And
So
in the
okay,
past,
so we cannot have.
we can do there
We cannot
also.
have.
We can also have their embedded, no problem. But you need to check. You need to check if you have multiple system like SAP CRM, SRM, blah blah blah. Then recommended is this, because in that case you will use this system. You don't have to upgrade all systems. You can use this and connect to all the systems through RFC.
Yeah, but ideally we can install that Fiori UI5, all that software component on SAP ERP, and then it can be kind of an hub for SRM and CRM, right?
Yeah, that also you can do, no problem.
Okay. And with respect to the upgrade, so on the embedded one, will there be any challenge on the upgrade? Like since when SAP started with Fury, they promoted Central Hub as the recommended option. Since this was having an innovation
Hmm.
things associated with it, and then they migrated to embedded as a recommended approach. So
Yes.
in embedded, don't we have any challenge with upgrade
Mm,
of
we will
Fury
have
stack?
less because SAP have got new features like, ZDO. I was telling you about ZDO. I don't have much idea on ZDO, but they are claiming that the upgrade downtime is minimized with ZDO. Zero downtime. It's called zero downtime project. So they have blue-green approach. Your system will not be upgraded in one shot. It will do component by component upgrade over the time. So that way it will not take much longer downtime as it compared to be in the past. So a lot of improvements have happened in terms of upgrading system. We have a new tool also. It's called software update manager, which upgrades the system in a way that will not remain down for a long time. So that is the reason it is not going to be a big challenge if you go with embedded option.
Okay. And is there a possibility like if anybody client is there on the central of SAP S4 HANA, since it was a recommended approach
Mhm.
by SAP since initial days, and then with 2020 now they are promoting to be on the embedded one. So is it recommended to leave the central hub and migrate to embedded?
Yes, it is. It is recommended, and in that case, if you already on latest NetWeaver, you don't have to do anything. You just take your Fury apps, यहाँ से उठाओ, यहाँ पटको, चलाओ. इसको delete कर दो बाद में. Just delete the image of front end.
Mhm. But the challenge over here is that from the security perspective, let's say that if there are couple of apps, maybe custom apps which are exposed to the third party companies, right? So in that case, the security perspective will be handled
Security will
like
be controlled using cloud connector. So in your cloud connector, you will then made an entry of the new system instead of old system. You just have to make a small change in the
uh,
entry in the cloud connector.
mhm. No, but ideally, like it won't be using the cloud connector. It will be directly exposing this URL,
Mm.
and the third party companies who are going to access this, their system will be registered on the network so that they can access it on the intranet.
Yeah,
So
so
kind of a
they need to
they
change
will
the
get,
registry.
yeah,
It's a one-time job, na? You are saving a lot of
yeah,
cost,
yeah, yeah,
getting a lot of benefit, right?
yeah. But maintaining that in the registry and exposing directly the SAP S4 HANA system to the third party world, is that the recommended approach? There won't be any security concerns on that one. Like
No,
if
there will
we
not be.
expose it,
No, there will not
because
be.
usually it is one layer, we are getting one more layer on top of SAP S4 HANA as a Fury layer.
Hmm.
So as a central hub, in central hub we get one more layer, right? We are having FES server, and with SAP S4 HANA we are protecting the BES server by having one more layer as an FES server, where the third party will have access only on the FES. They won't be having access on the BES.
But tell me how the front end will fetch the data without BES. All the data is in BES only,
Yeah, but directly they won't be having access. Direct access is barred. They will be having access via only FES.
right? But
So
eventually the data is coming from BES only, right?
eventually data is coming from BS.
Then
That's correct.
how
So,
do you
but
think
it
that
is
it's not secure?
adding one more layer, kind of a like they will having the credentials they will have only for the FES, and BS is not exposed to them in that sense.
So you can also create a user which is dedicated to only BES, where you will expose only the certain roles and certain functionality to be consumed, whatever is intended to do. Same thing you'll do in
Mm-hmm,
BES.
mm-hmm,
Same users you will create. You'll create API users accordingly also in the
mm-hmm.
BES. In that case, if they are merged,
Okay, okay.
right?
Yeah, that's correct. So also one thing over here uh, with respect to um, the troubleshooting.
Mm.
One thought over here, I'm not clear, but just want your guidance is in terms of understanding the UI5 supported browser version. So let's say that if the UIFI SAP UIFI library is on 1.72 or 1.88, so if is it compatible on which exactly browser version? Is there any guidance from the SAP, like this version of the SAP EFI will be supporting only Chrome so and so version, or Microsoft Edge so and so version, something like that,
I
or
think
it
we
will
can
support
go
all
and
the
check
versions?
SAP UI5 browser support. It's there in the documentation on ui5.hana.ondemand.com. You can see supported browser platform and versions. I'll give you this link
But
in the
it,
chat.
okay, it is 1.88. Okay,
Yes.
okay, got it.
Mhm. There's a question from Chinmay about what is ABA component, ABA. ABA is a new component, it's called ABA platform. This platform, if it is there, it's starting 1909 S4 HANA. This is the same component which is SAP also put it on the cloud, which is called ABAP on cloud. This component supports a new framework called RAP, RESTful ABAP Programming. For more detail about ABAP component, please subscribe our ABAP on Cloud training, where you will get to know more about that. But this training, we focus more on the Fiori implementation and Fiori advanced development. Hence, I will not be able to get into more details of ABAP component here. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
So that's it for the day, guys. See you on the next
Anubhav,
class.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
This is more related to troubleshooting. That if the business user in the production has issue for the Fiori application, then how do we usually try to troubleshoot, as they have their own IDs to log in and we may not have the same access in production that they have.
Very good question. Very good. Guys, I did not completed troubleshooting lecture today. It was just I introduce you some basic tools. But let me note down this question so that we not forget. I will take a note of it now here at front of you. So when a user is using his or her user and getting issue in system, it could be dev also, but we are using developer user. When we run, issue is not there. But when they run, issue is there in same app. Is that your question? Have I understood it correctly?
Yeah, I mean, if we do at least in non-prod systems, it works. But in production, if they have the access and we may not have
It
the
could be not
same
production.
access
It could
of
happen in
the business.
quality also. A quality user, a tester is getting an issue,
Right,
but you are not getting that issue when you are using.
right.
Yeah, because there are a lot of functionality in SAP based on user ID, right? If a user is assigned to a cost center, yes, or a profit center, then that functionality, that code of piece of code will run. Otherwise, it won't. So it's a very good question. Part of your training. Please wait. Heavy dose of antibiotic. Wait for the right time. Open question. I'll show you how do we
So,
do this. Not today.
uh, Anubhav, like, is there any Chrome extension for the developer which is recommended
No,
for all troubleshooting or
there are,
debugging?
but nothing is recommended right now.
Okay. And one last question I'm having is with respect to the SDK installation. I'm not getting why SAP is providing the SAP EFI SDK as an installable, because that is already there on the SAP system, right? So why we are having an SDK to be installed for UFI?
If you want to do a self-contained build, in that case, you would need it. Do you know what is self-contained build?
Not sure.
Wait for the next class.
Okay.
All right. Do we need to create destination for every user? Wait for the next class. It's too much you guys are asking on the very early days. Very heavy dose of antibiotic. We need to go into these things. We just started this training with introduction of system architecture. I'm sure you are super excited. You wanted to learn everything in one day, but I don't want to give you everything in one day. It will become very heavy dose. At the end, eventually it won't help you. So let's wait for the next coming classes. All your questions will be 100% answered in the coming sessions. Thank you so much. See you on Monday. Goodbye.